There's this powerful new force brewing right where farming, climate change, and big money all meet. It's called the agricultural carbon market. The promise is huge: pay farmers to help save the planet. But is it a real climate solution, or is it just a new kind of gold rush? Let's dig in. When you picture America's heartland, you probably think of a scene just like this. And you're right, but these beautiful landscapes are so much more than just where our food comes from. They're at the very center of a massive challenge. And maybe, just maybe, a huge opportunity in the fight against climate change. So before we can really get into the solution, we've got to get a handle on the problem itself. What exactly is farming's big carbon challenge? What's so interesting when you look at this chart, it's just how consistent it is. See that green bar? That's agriculture. And according to USDA and EPA data, it's been a steady, significant chunk of US greenhouse gas emissions for decades. We're talking roughly 9% of the total pie. And this chart, it really breaks it down for us. We hear a lot about emissions from livestock, but look at that biggest slice. Nearly half, 49% of all farming emissions in 2021 came from how we manage our soil. So yeah, how we're treating the ground beneath our feet is a massive piece of the puzzle. All right, so we've got a clear problem. And that's where this new, kind of fascinating market-based solution comes into play. So how does it plan to turn farming into a tool to fight climate change? At its core, the idea is actually pretty simple. On one side, you've got farmers who get paid to use practices that pull carbon out of the air and store it in their soil. On the other side, you have corporations who buy these things called carbon credits to offset their own pollution and hit their sustainability targets. Okay, so let's walk through how this actually works. First, a farmer changes how they do things. Maybe they stop tilling their fields or they plant cover crops. Second, and this part's crucial, someone has to measure and verify that the change actually reduced carbon. Third, that verified reduction gets turned into a tradable credit. And finally, some company out there buys that credit. It's a whole financial system built right on top of our soil. It all sounds pretty neat and tidy, right? Well, here's the twist. The idea might be simple, but the reality? It's anything but. In fact, it's total chaos out there. This quote from the American Farmland Trust just nails it. The whole market is the Wild West. Think about it. There's no single sheriff, no single rule book. Every program is different, which creates this massive confusion. And that's a huge problem because without clear standards, how can we be sure a credit actually represents real carbon being taken out of the atmosphere for good? And all that confusion creates some very real roadblocks for farmers. A USDA report lays them out. You've got high costs to even get started, a ton of complex paperwork, and honestly, the return on investment often isn't that great. But one of the biggest showstoppers is this idea of permanence. 100 years. Just let that sink in. Some of these programs require farmers to sign a contract guaranteeing that the carbon they store stays locked in the soil for a full century. That's an unbelievable commitment spanning multiple generations. So it's really no wonder so many farmers are just staying on the sidelines. And what's the result of this Wild West vibe? Well, the numbers tell the story. A McKinsey survey the USDA looked at found that almost 4 out of 10 farmers aren't getting involved for one simple reason. They're just plain confused by all the different options. But frontiers don't stay wild forever, right? There are some major efforts underway, from both the government and the tech world, to bring a little law and order to this new market. And a massive part of taming this frontier is technology. I mean, think about how it used to be. Verifying carbon meant physically going out, taking soil samples. It was slow, it was super expensive. But now, it's a whole new ballgame. We're talking satellites, AI models, remote sensing, all making the process way faster, cheaper, and easier to scale up. And it's not just tech. The federal government is stepping in too. The USDA is actively trying to tame this frontier. They're offering education and technical help to farmers, they're investing in that new measurement tech, and they're even building a national soil monitoring network, all to get reliable data and cut down on that market confusion. So, okay, we've got tech and the government trying to get a handle on things. So, what's next? Well, get ready for this, because the projections are kind of mind-blowing. Right now, in 2024, the voluntary agricultural carbon market is sitting at just over $36 million, which, okay, is a respectable number, but believe me, that's just the appetizer. Now look at this. According to forecasts from Global Market Insights, if you fast forward just 10 years to 2034, that market is projected to explode to nearly $650 million. That's a growth of more than 17 times in a single decade. We are on the verge of a massive carbon boom. And that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? As all this money starts pouring into this new carbon frontier, will it actually fulfill its promise? Will it help fight climate change and support farmers? Or will it just become another gold rush, making corporations look good without really helping the planet? The answer is going to shape our farms and our future for a long, long time.